Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Being broadcast live tonight on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. And you're off listening into YouTube World. Hello. Make sure you do hit that like button and subscribe if you want to be alerted as to when I am live or posting a new video or anything like that. And catch out the podcast. Yep. It can be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, any place where you might find a podcast. Seriously. And yes, happy snow moon. February full moon. It's just beautiful out there. And on the YouTube, yes, I just posted a picture. Yes, it is the full moon this evening. I took this just before I sat down at the desk in front of the computer and everything. I love the filter on my phone that actually lets me take a picture of the moon. And yeah, it's beautiful out there. Big moon. Love it. And yeah, tonight's a good night to be making some moon water if you want or if you need to. It's just one of those things nice to have on hand for blessings, especially. And yeah, I'll probably flash that full moon every so often. And when I'm off air later, I will probably go take another couple pictures because yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, full moon energy sometimes is an adventure. Occasionally, it does give me some insomnia, which is kind of gross. But then I sleep really good the next night. But I have a headache, and then I need lots of coffee. So it just, I don't know. Love the full moon, but sometimes the side effects of that energy is kind of an adventure. Yeah, it's good times, right? And yes, call lines are open tonight. So if you wanted to call in, it is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-398-2871. The Patreon, if you want to support me that way, is patreon.com/the spaces between. Or you can check out the Etsy shop. It is etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio. I'm going to start adding some rugs. They're kind of round rugs, big enough that you can sit in the middle of. Kind of a prefab circle, if you will. Because sometimes you just want to sit in a circle and close it up real quick so you can do things and not put too much mental effort into it. So, totally get it. Snow moon water. What you mean, like if you so Titan just asked a question. If you melt snow, will the moon water have a different quality? You know what? There's a couple schools of thought there. Because if you collect like water during a thunderstorm, for instance, that has a slightly different energy to it than, say, water you get from a river or a stream. And so, yeah, it will have a slightly different energy to it, but I suppose it depends on what you're looking for or what you're trying to do. Set your intention before you put it out there. I do have a little dab of moon water yet from my very first time of making moon water. Mostly because it's kind of special to me. And excellent segue, actually, without y'all just meaning to. So the snow moon is actually, this is my 2-year anniversary of my dedication to Hecate. And it, I don't know. I don't know what it is about the February full moon. It just, I feel warm when I go outside into the snow and in the light of the moon. It just, I feel very comfortable out there tonight. And I know some nights I go outside and the energy feels different, or you can feel I don't know if you guys feel the energy with the storms or the weather systems. A couple weeks ago, I was outside and it was just an ill wind, if you will, and I could feel the negative energy, and I wasn't quite sure what it was about, but lo and behold, the negativity came out, and I know what it was now, and that has moved on. So we are going to move on from here. And, once that negativity comes out and is gone, move on. Don't hang on to the negativity. It will ruin the rest of your day. Possibly week. Hang on to it too long. It starts, skewing your perception of the world around you, and all you start seeing is negative. So, hug a tree. Seriously, hug it out. It's okay. Yes, wildpaisley@gmail.com. WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. Oh, the chat rooms are just running amok. In TFR, I see Lucky. Hi, Lucky. Hilarious and grateful. And then I also see we have Black Tree. Hi, Julia. Bomber, Cameron, Crow Creek Cryptids. Say that 10 times real fast. Hi, Dawn, Deb. Hey, Deb. We need to get you back on the show, by the way. Elaine. Hi, Nessie and Stacy and Tighten Up and Aether Archives. So, hi, Dawn. And if, and Bomber. Hello, hello. If I didn't say your name, it's because you haven't said hello yet. So there. And yeah, just make sure you stop and say hi. Sun water, moon water. All right. So, just different energies, honestly. So the question asked is, what's the difference between sun water and moon water? And I'm going to look it up googly because I can, and I have the power of the internet at my fingertips. It's just a lot of just the energy of it. So kind of like trying to find my thoughts here. Moon water has the energy of the moon. Sun water has energy of the sun. One can be female, one male. And actually, there's some depending on what's your tradition, some attribute a female energy to moon water because a woman's menstrual cycle is often aligned to the moon cycle. And then the sun is often contribute a masculine energy, and so there would be masculine energy to it. Hi, Day, by the way. And now some believe in the flip side, that the moon is more masculine and the sun is more feminine. So again, it does depend upon your tradition and what it is you're trying to accomplish. A lot of it has to do with your intention and the deities that you are wanting to work with. So if, for instance, I'm trying to think of someone off the top of my head, Hecate. Would you necessarily use sun water if you're calling Hecate to help you with your ritual? Probably not. So the energies will align, and you'll have better results in your ritual or your blessing. So generally, I use moon water for blessings, just because that's what I do. I suppose if I was doing a hand fasting or christening, it would depend upon kind of the ceremony a bit. If I was going to do a blessing, I would use either moon water or sun water, or a combination for both the masculine and feminine. So, yeah, it varies. And yes, Deb, I agree. Love the warmth of the sun, but the energy of the moon just calls me. Right now, I have the urge to go outside and play in the moonlight, even though it's a little chilly. It's about 36 degrees Fahrenheit here. And so it's not warm by any stretch of the imagination. It just feels good out there, though. But that's me, and I know I'm weird. So tonight, I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about, getting to my topic. Do you have to have a deity to do magic? Hey, Brett. And the short answer is no. You don't have to work with a specific deity to do magic or to perform a ritual. You really don't. There are a lot of witches out there, and even pagans, who don't worship or follow any one specific deity or any one specific pantheon. And some don't follow any. Hi, Suzanne. And that's okay. Mostly because, again, depending on your tradition, seriously. So this is just my interpretation. And as we go on this evening, I'll talk about it more. I feel that yes, the deities are out there. They walk with us. They are with us. Whether it's a parallel dimension that they're with us, or in this plane as well. I think they're there. I think they've taken a step back as far as, how interactive they are with most people. Mostly because, Christianity hit very, very hard. And a lot of the old gods, backed off a little bit, and they just, they retreated a bit to protect themselves. So, Suzanne just asked, "What is a pantheon?" Because I say pantheon a lot. Generally speaking, it is all the gods or people of a religion collectively. So, like Greek pantheon, Norse pantheon. There's a Celtic pantheon, the Hindu-Indian pantheon, so or the Roman, Egyptian. You like for Egyptian, there's Ra and Isis and Osiris and etc. And they are part of that pantheon. And then in like Norse, there or not Norse, in Greek there'd be like Zeus and now my brain's shutting off, etc. Apollo, Mars, that kind of thing. Uh, Now Hecate is an older deity. Supposedly she has been or helped Zeus defeat the Titans. She's also been mentioned in Celtic mythology, and yeah, just kind of a broad. She shows up in a couple different places. Same with Cnunos, and often the deities you work with today, if you do work with deities, may not be the deities you work with tomorrow, because as your path changes and evolves, so will the deities that you work with, honestly, or don't work with. And it also depends on if you're doing intentional workings or if you're just flying by the seat of your britches. And sometimes instead of calling on a deity, it's better to call upon your ancestral spirits. I mean, stop and think about it. If you're in, let's say, Times Square, and it's New Year's Eve, and there's all those people there, and I think of all of those people being the various different deities, spiritual entities, etc., etc. And you showed up there with a dozen of your friends and family, and you can talk to a stranger and say, "Hey, stranger, can you help me out?" Or, "Hey, stranger, let's hang out and dance and have a good time." And at the end of the night, is that stranger going to help me get home safely? Or is your family or friends that you showed up with going to, get you home safely? Generally speaking, the friends and family are going to be safer bet. And the stranger, well, stranger danger and all that. So the stranger, may not be the best person to, approach for help. Generally speaking, I'm just serious generalities here. So often, if you're doing a working or a ritual that you want to benefit yourself, your family, your friends, your circle of people that you spend the most time with, are you going to approach a stranger and ask for help, or are you going to, approach your ancestors or those who came before? And so, in some of the older pagan traditions, ancestor worship was a real thing. A lot of the burial mounds, for instance, those were places of worship. People would bring offerings periodically and go there for advice, and often they were places of ritual and sacrifice, and just a really interesting place to go as a community, because it was a central location. Maybe as one chief passes the mantle to the next, or king or queen or whatever, the leadership, it may happen at one of those burial mounds, that transition of authority and leadership. And because the spirits, the ancestral spirits are there, it would recognize, that transition also. So it just, there's power to those. And, so your ancestral spirits are definitely a place for power and energy. And often when we are, seeking protection, for instance, your ancestral spirits are going to be more likely to protect you than a stranger. Really, truly. Now, I'm not saying that if I ask for help and guidance and protection, Hecate won't do it. It's just a different conversation. And, the vested interest is going to be slightly different also. And So, again, it all depends on what you're trying to achieve, what your intention is. Um, so there's your ancestral spirits or someone to approach for help when it comes to doing rituals and magic and such. Also, the spirits of the world around you are real. Um, Now, in Norse verbiage, I guess you'd call them land wights. The spirits around you, dryads, naiads, the water spirits, the little people, even. Um, the energy of the earth under your feet, the trees, the plants around you, the rocks, the rivers, the lakes, the streams, etc., etc. Those all have a certain energy to them. And if you're seeking protection, for instance, and you're about to go on a sail overseas and you're going to be out on the ocean, I'd probably address the the spirits of the ocean. Say, hey, protect us as we travel across the ocean. Or if you're going fishing, it's like, hey, and you're on a lake, just, hey, spirits of the lake, help my fishing adventure be, have good luck, good profits, or good results. Same with your traveling across the country. Hey, spirits of the area and the help me, as I travel, or camping, protect me. And often some of those connections are instinctual. I personally grew up pretty remotely, off the grid, and I kind of ran wild across the mountainside. And I didn't have a lot of domestication, if you will. I had a horse, and the mountain ridges were all mine to play on, and I did. I rode my horse all over the place. Moonlight rides, daylight rides, didn't matter. And, it, in looking back at my childhood, I should have encountered a lot more danger. I should have encountered predators because I was on a horse, for crying out loud. There's horses are not the apex animal out in the wild. Um, they just really aren't. There's a lot of critters out there that see horses as dinner, and even people at that point, I wasn't that big. Fifth grade, sixth grade, I was what, 10, 12, 14, 15 maybe, and just running wild across the countryside, often by myself. And so in looking back, I felt a real connection to where I lived. And I really think the spirits of the mountains and the valley where we lived watched over me 100%. Uh, yeah, they really did. It was a good thing because I didn't have a lot of guidance otherwise. That's part of the reason why I'm dedicated to Hecate is, you know what? She was there for me. She was that mother figure that I really didn't have at that time. And a lot of people see her as a scary person or scary entity. And for me, she's very mothering. And just like any mom, though, there's the scary side. And just that connection was really there. I've always felt called to the moon. That's part of the reason why, like right now, I can feel the moon's energy just over my right shoulder that you can't see because there's a curtain. So, that energy is real, and that connection was real. Now, if I didn't have that connection with Hecate or Kununos, what then? If I wanted to do a ritual, what would I do? Well, kind of the same thing I would do now, except for I wouldn't want to necessarily invoke Hecate or Kununos or a different deity. Maybe I'm just trying to focus my own intent and my own energy. I do a lot of stuff in the kitchen with herbs and such, and so I use a lot of the energy from the herbs and the material around me when I'm doing a ritual. I do a lot of research before I do one. I want to make sure I'm using the right elements, whether I'm using crystals or rocks or leaves or herbs or seasonings or spices. Even sometimes the container I'm putting it in, if I'm doing a jar spell, how big do I want? How much do I want? And I mean, seriously, it just, yeah. Your research is good. Intention is good. So, just got a question from chat room. Cameron wants to know which god has multiple faces. Well, that one's hard. And it isn't any one specific god in reality. In many of the deities have the potential and the ability to transform into other animals. I look at Loki, for instance, can transform into almost anything. Thor, Odin, Hecate, Brigid, the Morrigan, Zeus. Shoot, any of the Greek pantheon, if you stop and think about it. So yeah, there's holy cow. Almost any of the deities can transfer or transform and have an animal aspect. Some have a preferred one, like the crow or raven, or owl or hawk, eagle. Some prefer horse or lion, and all sorts of just varieties like that. And yeah, there isn't one specific one, I guess, is the right answer for that one, Cameron. Multiples. Titan, just to answer your unasked question, I'm a Libra. I feel the draw of both the positive and the negative, the male and the female, all of it. Is there an octopus deity? Is a question from Julia. Well, that one's not quite as easy, but also is not quite as hard. It's more of an ocean energy, ocean spirit, and I think they could take a shape, any shape that they want in reality. Because you know what? The octopus is kind of a pretty creature and elegant and graceful, and I think they could. Yeah, there's not a specific octopus deity, although all I can think of is the Little Mermaid now.
Ursula.
And Ursula. But there's a definite energy there. There really is. Yeah. Mr. Longbeard poking in and saying hi. So yeah. I don't know if that answered your question, Julia, but I don't know that there's a specific.
A squidcific?
A squidcific. Okay, Cthulhu. Now, yeah, so Day just mentioned that Kanaloa is often linked to the octopus. And yeah, there are potentially, in traditions that I don't know as much about, some links there. So there's some connection there.
So there's another pantheon for you.
Yep, the Hawaiian.
Yep.
Yeah, they have some really interesting deities. A lot of them are fiery and angry. But yeah. Yeah, Lovecraft reference. Yeah, Cthulhu. Is that what your beard is there, Don?
No.
I am Cat.
The thing that shall not be.
All right. On that note, and the Cthulhu reference, it is break time. So we'll see you on the flip side. The call lines are open, so if you wanted to call in, please do so. That is, I lost the number here. I should know this by now. 213-233-3998. So we'll see you in just a bit.
Lord within the sun. As we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done. shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And yes, I just gave you another moonshot because, hey, I can. It's actually the moon.
I didn't see the first one you put up. This is the only one I've seen so far.
It's the same one. I just keep doing it again and again.
Okay.
Because
She's mooning you.
I just mooned you.
Twice.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Don't mind me. Oh, hey, we've got a call.
Oh, sweet.
Hello. Okay, hold on. I got to figure out how to do this now.
Just uncheck the box.
I got to get to the box.
Oh.
Peanut gallery. All right, hold please. Hello, Naysay. How are you this evening? Hello?
Hello?
Hi. You're there.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Always.
Happy
high
full moon.
on life. And what a big moon that was.
Oh, yes, it is. It's beautiful.
I just wanted to share two things that I found very interesting today. Today is the somewhat perfect example of a day.
Okay.
Because at the sunrise, we had the moon set. And shortly after sunset, we had the moonrise. And so we have the perfect idea of a day. And then we have almost to the point of the zenith of the full moon this evening, which is a spectacular opportunity, as you stated earlier, to charge up your tools, for lack of a better term,
Yes.
of divination,
Yes.
or possibly spell casting. Depends on your computer and spell check, of course. But the other thing I wanted to share as a Native American with our word deity.
Okay.
One of the most common words that we utilize, and it is from this where we get the social conditioning of Native Americans when they talk about the Great Spirit. Well, the Anishinaabe people, one of our most commonly used words for the Creator is Gitchi Manadu. And if you break down the etymology of the words, the first word, Gitchi, means, it's a very full word. It's not just a basic one description as we have with the English language. So Gitchi means abundant, the largest, enormous, vast, huge, all of those words. And it would depend within the sentence of the specifics of it, but generalizing, it's all of those words for Gitchi. And then for Manitou, it means like essence or energy or power or unknown.
Okay. So, a great unknown or great power. Oh.
Right.
Okay.
And so then when they put it together, it's great spirit, or like the greatest spirit. Or you'll also hear people say creator is another term. And I get in trouble sometimes with my elders and with a lot of my friends because when I use my discernment through my experiences of the creator, the greatest spirit, or Gitchimanadu,
Yes.
that the creator doesn't love me and the creator doesn't hate me, but the creator accepts me for who I am. There is no negative, there is no positive, because it is of all of those things the ultimate creator or the energy or the life force of the universe. And I correlate this exactly with the magnet, because the magnet, if you break it apart, has three parts to it or phases to it, where it's positive, neutral, and negative. And to me, that makes easy clarification that the creator would be like that too, where it's positive, neutral, and negative, or semantics, love, content, and fear.
Okay.
So I just thought I would share that with you.
I that's interesting. I love content and fear because I think a lot of people view negativity as anger or interpret negativity as anger. But often those negative emotions come from a foundation of fear, whether it's fear of the unknown or fear of the known, or, you know, just some things that people just fear, you know, and as a result, they respond in a negative or angry way. And so instead of being bad or negative, it's really just from that place of unknown or fear. I think you're right.
Well, I absolutely agree, and I like to categorize it like that too, that all emotions, if you put them in like a pyramid, and the true pyramid is not a four-sided pyramid. That's a false pyramid. That's the capstone to the phallic of the obelisk. A true pyramid is a in totality a four-sided pyramid, but it only has three faces.
Right.
And if you put that into the simile or the metaphor, at the tip or the pinnacle, you have love, and all the other emotions are under that tip or pinnacle or capstone. And then on the other aspect, there is the fear, and then all of the other emotions are below that. And then at the other tip would be the content. You know, so at the points you would have that.
Yeah, and then there'd be some
everything
overlap.
else is a challenge in between.
Isn't that just the truth of it? Yes. Yeah, there's the challenge, definitely. Is a lot of times when we're overwhelmed by any one of those individual feelings, it gives us a deficit on the other side. And so, you know, we might not feel as much fear as we should, for instance, or we might not feel as much love as we should, or as much contentment as we should. There should be a balance, but often it's hard to maintain.
Oh, absolutely. And this is when it gets into the whole sacred geometry, because if you look at a circle, and then if you divide the circle by its radius, and you get those 3 points on the circumference of the circle, which is the triangle, which is the two-dimensional representation of the pyramid.
Yes.
You know, so then when you put a pyramid within a sphere, you will find out that if it's a perfect experiment of equilateral side, that it will not fit perfectly within the sphere, so it will rotate like a motor within a sphere. And that rotation of that pyramid within the sphere is a metaphor of our life in trying to find balance. Because the pyramid does not fit to the full extent of the circumference, and it has that ability to move, thus is our insides. When we oscillate back and forth to that positive, negative, and neutral, same as the whole love, fear, and content. And that's where they talk about the ultimate goal that we can have is to find balance. Because at least when we are in balance, we're not feeding one or the other. Because we can all acknowledge if we want to feed one, it would at least be positive. And then if we had to, at least stay in the neutral, because we all know what a bummer it is to be caught in negativity.
Yes. And it sucks you in and it doesn't want to let go. And it's frustrating. And it's often, it's very, very easy to fall into that negativity. And it's harder to climb out of it. And it's harder to achieve peace once you've been wallowing in that negativity for a while. I think, and the more you wallow in it, if you will, the harder it becomes to come out of that negative place. And I think that's why when people get on the downward spiral, it's because they're being sucked in, just like in a whirlpool. Because yes, you're being sucked in, you're on that spiral.
Yeah, it's easier to give in to the negative than to follow the positive, and that's just the way it is. The negative is more powerful in a sense, but it depends on how you view it, how your intentions are. I think that's kind of the difference.
Yes.
Oh, I agree with it, and that's one of the reasons where it is so beneficial when you can recognize and utilize a creator or a creative force, because that will help you discern where here is for each individual. And once you realize where here is within the center of your sphere or the center of your circle, then in that recognition, if you can minimally find a giggle, that's one way to get out of the darkness.
Yep.
Yes, 100%.
It's just a little giggle. Because once you start that little dopamine release of a giggle, it's easier to go down the giggle path, Of course, sometimes I may be giggling like an insane man or woman or whatever the heck I am.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes a giggle is all you can do, because otherwise you get overly frustrated by the insanity, and that is, that's just the way of it. So,
Yep.
So thank you, Nancy.
Well, I'm just saying, in an insane world, beep, bop, boodaloo. And thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, and
thank you.
Cast your spells. And then make sure you do your spell check.
Yes. Yes. Spell check is important because, they're there. They all have different meanings.
Yep.
Thank you, Nace.
All right. Toodles.
Cheers.
Night, bud. Thanks for calling, Nace.
So, yeah, and Elaine just mentioned, she's like, my glass is half full even when it's half empty. You know what?
No, she said even when it is empty.
Well, okay, yes. Yeah. Even if when it is empty. And, people forget that, if a glass is half empty or half full, it means there's more room in your glass. It doesn't really matter if it's empty or full.
Yeah, I'll take a top off of that wine.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can always add more wine or vodka or hot cocoa or tea or water. I mean, right. It even, negative stuff happens.
Right.
You can't.
You're not going to stop it. You just have to, like Nace said, even if it's just a little giggle, something to bring a little levity that you can grab onto and foster that.
And that's part of the reason why some people have a very bizarre reaction to grief or loss, and they start laughing or something like that. And it's part of it, they're uncomfortable, they don't know what else to do, they're horrified, and it's just the body's automatic response to whatever's going on, and they don't mean it out of disrespect. It's just their response.
Right, they're dealing with it in their way.
Exactly. And something else that I didn't mention too much last night, but I'm going to mention tonight is you don't judge, guys. There is enough negativity and judgment in our world today. And I see it across the different paths, the different traditions, the different, people celebrating different pantheons. It's like, oh, you're doing it wrong, or, oh, this is cultural appropriation, or this is, which cultural appropriation, by the way, is a dirty word. there's all these different things. Just because you have that perspective doesn't mean that you have the right to lord it over or be the bully of someone else. So, if that means you're maybe you were born to a family that has been a pagan for generations or practicing witchcraft, for a number of years, and that doesn't mean you're a better witch or pagan than someone who just found the path today. It doesn't mean you're stronger than someone who just found the path today. It just means that you had the opportunity to grow up with it.
Right.
And those of us who didn't grow up with it, we're doing a little bit of catch up, trying to learn things that you were exposed to from birth. And
Like us city kids?
just because you can't chase a chicken to save your life, I don't know what to tell you.
No, we have special ways to deal with those.
You told me I couldn't shoot them anymore.
Oh. That's true. I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
So, it was appropriate. But anyways, segue.
Tangent.
Squirrel. So that happens. Yeah. And, it is, I don't know, it's normal. And that's, Day just mentioned, we're all just learning and forever learning. Yes, 100%. Even someone who's considered a high priest or high priestess in their tradition, they're still learning, they're still developing, they're just still gaining knowledge. And there's just the day you stop learning is the day you begin to stagnate in your practice. And it doesn't matter really what spiritual path you're on.
And you could very well spiral into that negativity.
Exactly, because once you stop learning and exposing yourself to those new ideas and those new thought process or new people, you start losing some of the wonder of it,
Right.
and the magic of it, and the confidence of it. And I got to tell you, there's Minnie Paisley, bless her little 5-year-old adventurous heart. She sees things differently than I did at that age, and she will continue to see things differently than I did at her age. And it's kind of fun to see the world through her eyes. The magic of Christmas, I've always been jaded about Christmas. I have, yes, very jaded about Christmas. But she loves the wonder and the magic of it. And it's been really fun to see and experience the holidays through her eyes and the magic of it. Same with the Tooth Fairy, which she's about to lose her next tooth. I told her if she bit into a marshmallow, she would lose it. It is that ready to come out, and so she's going to be a toothless wonder for a little bit. But even though you have learned a concept, for instance, maybe a cooking reference, I make biscuits because I like biscuits and gravy, right?
Mm.
And good biscuits and gravy cannot be beat.
Mm-mm.
And it took me a few years to develop the recipe that I like the best for biscuits and gravy. And here, about a year ago-ish, Minnie Paisley wanted to start helping me make biscuits. I'm like, all right, cool. I've always just done drop biscuits because time is a factor, and I'm starving in the morning, and I want food. But she wanted to help and roll them out because she wanted circle biscuits or triangle biscuits or something. She wanted something special. So I added a little more flour. We actually rolled them out. And I got to tell you, they're better now than they were a year ago because I was experiencing something differently through her eyes, something that I've been doing for years. They were doing pretty good. And because I experienced the world through her new eyes, I did something better. And same thing with spells and rituals. Casting a circle is pretty, once you've done it a few times, very habit forming. And doing like SBATs, Sabbats, the holidays, that kind of thing. You get into the groove of it and the ritual of it. And and often we can stagnate and we get kind of stale, I guess. And just having that refreshing of new eyes, I think is good.
Well, and you mentioned something earlier about, the deities you work with now may not be the deities you work with later, and I think that's kind of the same along the same lines.
Yes, absolutely. Because some deities are very much more mothering or fathering. I don't know if fathering is parental. They're more parental. Fathering and mothering. You think they have the same kind of meaning, but they don't really.
No.
So more parental. And as you grow in your practice, and you've been doing this for a while, it may be that instead of needing a parental type deity to work with or spirit guide, maybe someone who instead of leading you is walking beside you.
Mm-hmm.
Or in some cases shoving you to start walking beside you. So as your path grows and your relationship grows, and your understanding of your path grows, your deities are going to change. I think that's just not necessarily always, as I've been following Hecate for decades now. I was following her even before I knew I was following her. And so my dedication to her was more an acknowledgement of an existing relationship. And it felt warm, it felt good, and empowering. Even now I get goosebumps when I think about it. And then so that was 2 years ago, and then the year ago in April that I acknowledged the call of Kanunos.
Is that why I have black horse paintings around my studio?
That would be Epona.
Oh, okay.
Epona is a black horse, so yeah. And that was I'll tell you about that in April when we get there. If I forget, remind me. So, just because life, yes. So, I don't know. Do I have any callers? Just double check. Nope, cool. You can email me if you have questions. By all means, I'll do my very, very darndest best to answer them and help you or direct you if you need Babe Loop and the Beardos. You guys are weird. I don't know what that is. I just caught it, and
it's the new band name, Babe Loop and the Beardos. That's kind of cool. That's funny.
Okay, it's Kanunos. Titan that Kanunos. Let me get the spelling so it's correct.
Paisley.
Yep.
I have to tell you something.
What?
I found this flip-top bottle in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And I opened it up and kind of tasted it to see what it was. I think it was your moon water.
Yes. You drank my moon water.
Well,
I noticed.
No, I licked it because I didn't know what it was. So I may have contaminated your moon water. Don't cough in the microphone.
You licked my moon.
Well, I had to find out if it was whiskey or not. I wasn't marked.
Hold, please.
I just thought I'd come clean on that.
I wondered why it was on the counter.
I was replacing wine bottles in the wine rack, and it was in my wine rack.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
So, thought I'd share.
Oh my. Are you feeling blessed?
I'm not quite sure. Maybe I had to go take a hit. Get a little snoot of that stuff.
Oh, I'm crying.
I'm sorry. There's nothing I could do. I had to find out what it was.
I did have marks on it, but I keep flipping the top so I can pour water. So, Groot, I water Groot with moon water periodically.
I would advise you not to.
And so I did have symbols drawn on the bottle using a dry erase marker.
Dry erase marker.
Yeah, because yes, because I generally repurpose my bottles and put spirits or alcoholic beverages in their spirits. Yes.
Spirits, yes, exactly.
This one just happened to be moon.
You better start wrapping
So
up.
no, a bomber. Yes, you can drink moon water. Often people do because they feel that the energy of it impacts them positively. And
100 liters of moon water. Holy crap! I'm coming to your place, Day.
welcome to being a werewolf. Real quick, Cnunos is a horned god from Celtic mythology because somebody asked. I was trying to answer that you licked the moon water.
I'm being honest. I'm just telling the truth. Wrap it up.
All right. So, on that note, I'm gonna have to go find a new bottle. So, thanks for joining tonight, you guys.
Well, tonight's the night to put it out.
Some merry meet, merry part, merry meet again. We'll see you guys next weekend.
Bye.
Bye. I'm gonna end with the moon again. So have a good night, you guys. Oh, I can't even find it. There it is.
Drink some licking, not licking it.
Drink the moon water.
In the sun, as we will, so mote it be the spell forever done.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus.